So, Jake, welcome to the Crypto Princess channel. How are you today?
Good. How are you? By the way, happy Valentine's Day. Have you got a date tonight?
Got you.
My
Um,
first virtual Valentine's date. Sure.
awesome. So Jake, just before we get into your crypto story, if I was to meet you in high school, what kind of person were you?
Oof, it's a very interesting question. Very shy. Very, it depends what part of high school, right? You're from the UK. So high school for me is, I think, 12, 13. So when you kind of transition out of primary
Mhm.
school, I guess. I quit school at 16. That's when illegally in UK, or Scotland, you can leave school at 16-year-old. So I knew immediately I wanted to get out there. I was very shy, played video games. And what people don't understand is about high school, it's probably the easiest part of your life. I'm sure you'll agree. Once you leave high school, it's kind of like nobody's here to save you, right? So leaving high school was very fucking hard. But in high school, it was easy, but I didn't want to do exams. Like you would learn from teachers that never had achieved anything, in my opinion. But I took the basic stuffs like sports, learned some German, but it never really helped me in the real world. I'm sure you would agree.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so from my understanding, you actually got into crypto in 2020. So, what were you doing in between the time between high school and getting into crypto?
What was I doing? I was doing a lot of things. So, do you know a place called Dumfries?
Yes.
Dumfries. So I'm from Dumfries. The problem with Dumfries is there's no jobs. I went down there recently. Actually, I just got back from Thailand, and like all the shops are closed, so there was like no opportunity. But I worked in Domino's Pizza, like I did that kind of stuff. I got kicked out of my mum's house because I'm a very bad boy, and I lived with my gran. But she got me a job. She got me working at Domino's. So I was pretty much working, I guess you could say, seven a.m. to 12 p.m. Right. But I still had a big problem of having no money, right? Because I would spend it all on stupid stuff, drugs, alcohol. But then I would have a big problem. It's like I would see all these famous guys on Instagram. I'm sure if you go down the Instagram rabbit hole, you're like, fuck, how's that guy the same age as me, 19, 20, and he's achieving so much. So I got very disheartened that I didn't know how to escape. So that's what I was really doing. I started my own business, e-commerce. I was probably heard of drop shipping. That's what it used to be called. But that was the kind of thing that got me started before I got in cryptocurrency, if that makes sense. That was my kind of like initial making money.
Mhm. And how was that for your e-commerce? Was that quite successful?
Very successful. That's what really got my first 100 grand that we're probably going to talk about when I invested in cryptocurrency. Because the problem with cryptocurrency is, I'm sure you'll know, if you've got no money, how can you even get in the game? Unless you want to chase a speculative meme coins, and you've seen the market right now, they're all going to shit. So the biggest problem I had was I would like to accumulate Bitcoin, Ethereum, but how can you do that if you have no money, right?
So, Jake, you got into crypto in 2020. Now, 2020 was a very difficult year, not just for crypto, but literally for the world. We were in the grips of the COVID-19 pandemic. People were dying everywhere, people were losing their jobs, many businesses were going under.
Mm.
Bitcoin had a very difficult time. For example, in March 2020, she dropped from 9,200 US dollars to 3,800 US dollars. That was a huge dip, one of the worst corrections in Bitcoin's history. It was a very confusing, very difficult time. But you decided to enter into crypto at this time. What made you enter into crypto and what was your first experience like?
Yeah, so I wish I could say I bought the COVID crash, but I was too much of a paper hand pansy, I guess you could say. My ex-girlfriend was like, I'll take the risk, take the risk. But when I seen that big dip, and I'm sure you would have looked back and said, what the hell's going on, right? Everybody was in fear. But 2020, you touched on, like, it was a very difficult time. For me in e-commerce, it was one of the best times of my life, right? Because everybody was stuck at home. Everybody was shopping online. So I was in Greece for a while, just printing stores. So I was selling smartwatches, I was selling little gimmicky stuff, and I was making a fuck ton of money. The problem I had was, where do you put this money, right? Where do you put this money? You can't just sit in a bank account. As you know, the bank account only insures you up to 75K. So it got to the point where I had the 75K bank, 75, 75, 75, and it's just like losing to inflation. But I bought my first Bitcoin around about $16,000. I wish I bought it at 3,000, 4,000. So it was a little bit after that. I think it was October, November. My first Ethereum was about $400, $550. That's when I started big chunks of DCAs. But I wish I could have bought the COVID dip, because you could never lose on Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything. But I didn't know much about it, but that Bitcoin was probably going to go higher. But I was just too afraid to press the buy button because I didn't know much about it then. It was only after October, November is when I really, really started to buckle down.
So how did you actually get into crypto? Who introduced you to crypto? Or how did you learn about it?
It's a funny story, man. Like one of my clients from ecom, so I still have my channel there. It's called Jake Gordon Dropshipping. It's still alive. So I've had many YouTube channels before this channel that I'm running right now. And I left it there just because, like, you know, it's showing them the real guy. You can go back and check all the stores that I've ran. But it was one of my clients. I used to take kind of like clients because with e-commerce, it's very hands off. Once you build a team, you've got your girl doing your email marketing, you've got a couple of guys placing the orders. So it gets to the point where it's like very boring. So I wanted to scale that YouTube channel with like kind of one-to-one clients, right? People that wanted to get in e-commerce and, you know, scale up their stores. So I had a guy called Samir. He's from the Netherlands. We still speak. And he was just like, on one of the calls that we were doing, he was just like, hey, you're making all this money. You know, maybe you should invest in something. And he was really into cryptocurrency at the time. He actually got wrecked on a coin called SafeMoon. I don't know if you remember that one. It's a very influencer, Jake Paul kind of pump and dump scam. But, you know, it was his first bull run as well. He still had to learn the lessons. So he just said, Jake, buy Bitcoin, Ethereum. And I said at first, no, scam. Mom and dad said it's a bad idea. I'm going to follow the traditional way and buy real estate. Okay, that was what my mom and dad said to do. When you're making all this money, you start doing 100, 200K a month profit, and you're like, okay, I'll buy real estate. But I realized when I started to buy some real estate back then, I owned 2 houses in Hamilton that I didn't like the tenants. I didn't like the fucking 10% management fee, and you couldn't really make much money. And I wanted to, you know, spoke to Samir again. He just said, buy some Bitcoin, Ethereum. So traditional person, you log on Binance at the time. That's what I was using. And I started to really buy a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of Ethereum. But I had no idea about these 4-year cycles that we're probably going to talk about in the future. Because if I did, I'd be a very wealthier man than I am today because I had to restart. So started buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, just because this guy told me to. And then as you go down Bitcoin, Ethereum, I'm sure you know with your DJing plays, you start to look at some more speculative plays, right? Gala Games, you know, HBAR was one of my biggest holders. I'm still holding today. And you start going down the altcoin kind of path. But yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum was when I kind of started late 2020.
I mean, HBAR is going to do well. I do like HBAR myself. You touched upon there, mom and dad was not too happy with crypto. How was the support from family?
Yeah, and they're still not happy today. They think I'm stupid. They think I should just buy 4, 5, 6, 7 houses. And they're right. But for me, I'm obviously a crypto YouTuber. I'm playing the game of cryptocurrency. I believe in just all in, diversified focus. But yeah, they're not a fan. And they were right in the first 2021 bull run. I got wrecked on a platform called Celsius when that went down. Lost about 500 grand. Trusted Alex Mashinsky. He's the best man in the world. Used to pull up to his AMAs. Loved him. Loved it. Just got another payout coming out, I think, in 2 weeks' time. So that'll be nice to buy some more of this dip. But yeah, I got wrecked in 2021 with my mom and dad, and they were right. I put everything in Celsius. I was trying to convince them to put their money in Celsius, and fucking glad they never, because that would have been there'd be no more Christmas dinners anymore, put it that way. So they're not a fan. They're not a fan today. And they're probably going to be, my dad always says it's too late. I'm like, bro, you're 55, 56, like, you're still time, man. You know, there's still time. What else are you going to do? But he likes stocks and shares, right? I don't like stocks and shares. So they're not a fan. My mom's never going to be a fan, but she's supportive of what I do.
So back in 2020, how did you actually learn about Bitcoin and Ethereum when you got in, apart from Samir?
Yeah, I was just watching BitBoy Crypto, right?
Yeah.
You know, Bitcoin's going 100K. I was watching Michael Saylor interviews, and these guys were all wrong, right? Plan B was another one. You know, the 4-year the stock to flow method. These guys were all calling 100K, and it's my fault for not taking profits. I was just way too greedy. But I just started to go down the rabbit hole, and, you know, watching probably channels like you back in the day. You know, Digital Asset News, Invest Answers. They're probably all still going strong today. But yeah, I was just down the rabbit hole. I would do my e-com stuff. I have this all free time, deal with my clients, and I would just binge watch YouTube videos. But the guys I was watching was not really talking about the 4-year cycle. So that's my biggest downfall, I guess. But now, you know, as you know, you learn from your scars, your lessons, and you go again. Because if I never made, my peak was like 950K before like the absolute crash, right? So I really wanted a million, but I wouldn't have sold a million. I would have went for 2, 3, 4. It wouldn't have even mattered. But, you know, losing all that money, you know, you realize the money if you don't, on paper, right? Because I've seen it. That's the reason why we're here today and going again, if that makes sense.
Okay. So 2020 was a halving year. And obviously, following the 4-year cycle, after the halving year, Bitcoin does go parabolic. So if we talk about 2021 now, for those people who are not aware, that was the last bull run. We came out of the March 2020 crash and we slowly climbed up. And then we started to go parabolic. We hit $64,000 in April 2021.
Yeah.
And then we had the China FUD, or the manipulation from China. We very quickly fell 50%, and we ranged at 30,000 US dollars for a good couple of months. Bitcoin was taken off the exchanges because there was a supply shock. Bitcoin then gained momentum, and that's why, or how, we reached the second peak in November 2021. And it was in November 2021 that the SEC issued Wells notices to both cryptocurrency projects and exchanges, and we also had inflation and economical concerns, so we dipped down into the bear market. That was a whirlwind of a bull run. What was your experience of 2021?
It was great until it wasn't, right? You're making money every day. But I remember that dip specifically. I was watching, I can't remember what YouTuber it was, but I was watching a live stream and I was panicking. I think as you said, 50%, right? That's crazy. That's crazy. So it went down 50%. Didn't buy anymore. Wasn't going to sell because, again, I was here forever. Haven't even sold my bags today when I read it all the way back down in 2021. I lost half of it because of Celsius. But yeah, I'm a DCer, man. I'm a DCer, as you probably are. So all you can do, and it's hard to do this because nobody wants to buy red. How you make money in crypto, you buy red, sell green. You don't do the opposite. So yeah, it was a very difficult time. How was it for you? Like, what did you feel? Because you were already in crypto by then, right? How did you feel with that 50% dip?
I didn't actually get in. I got in afterwards.
Oh, you were
I got
after.
in afterwards. So I started to learn about cryptocurrency in the end part of 2021, or I had my first conversation about Bitcoin in late 2021, and I was learning things about the crypto queen. So I was learning all the horrible stuff first, and then I started to buy in 2022, which was the bear market.
You bought it at the best times. Congrats. What made you pull the plug? As a girl out there, girls out there that are probably listening to this channel, like, how did you what made you buy? Because I'm sure your family would have said the same thing. Maybe not, but what was it for you that said, okay, this is where I'm going to put some of my net worth in crypto?
So I'm very stubborn, so I don't really listen to anyone, unfortunately.
Sure.
So I have my own business in central London. I'm doing really well. I'm actually in the top 1% of female earners in the UK. And what I was noticing was that all my money, extra money, I was just wasting it away. I literally had nothing to show for it apart from a brand new car and some shopping, etc. But the rest, like going out, restaurants, all the rest of it, like all my money was just literally going. I do have a property portfolio as well, and it was just literally putting in all my extra cash into. I just needed to invest it somewhere, and I just thought, well, why not crypto? Because I just tend to do what everybody tells me not to do. And just like you, I'm a high school dropout. So
Nice.
okay, so you dropped. So you remember the drop in April.
Yeah.
And you just held on to your bags. Now, as we came back up into the November peak, everybody was shouting, we're going to 100K Bitcoin. Were you buying more at that time, or were you just hodling whatever you had?
Yeah, I was one of those guys that were showing for 100K. When you make YouTube videos, you'll start to realize as you go down this bull run with your channel, you start listening to what everybody else is saying. So you got BitBoy, you got Plan B, you got all these other guys. I'm like, oh, Bitcoin has to hit 100K, right? Ethereum has to hit 10K. HBAR has to hit 1 to 2. Those were my first take profits, but I would have never sold anyways because I would have always wanted more. And I wasn't buying, I was doing nothing. I was literally just hodling. I set my portfolio up way before that. Didn't get in the best times. Best times was COVID, but wouldn't have mattered, would have lost all anyways. So I'd have put more in Celsius, to be honest. So it would not have mattered. So those times I was just hodling and I just tried to not look at the charts. Even today I look at crypto bubbles and I just look at my portfolio. And it's down like another 50 grand today. So it's just, it's part of the game, man. And as you go through this and you're watching this at home, you have to understand, what kind of investor are you? If you're a trader, you should love this game. You should be making money up and down all the way time. If you're a hodler, you should stick to the hodler. When you get that paycheck, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, you should buy whatever altcoins, whatever coins you want to accumulate, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and you should start to build up that bag because we're not finished in this cycle yet, right? That's why we're still here. If we were, you would have walked outside and smelled the grass and you would have came back in the next bull run. So if you're still watching YouTube videos like this, DCA when you can. So I was doing nothing. I was not looking at the screen. I was working on my business.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. Volatility is a trader's best friend. So yeah.
You should love it. The traders should love it.
Yeah. So after the second peak in November, we slid into a bear market. Now, bear markets are good for building and weeding out bad projects. We did have a number of black swan events. So we had Celsius, we had 3 Hours Capital, we had Voyager, we had Luna, we had the FTX crash. Were you aware of the difference? I think you actually just touched upon it. You were not aware of the difference between a bull market and a bear market. So when did you become aware of the difference, and how did you position your portfolio?
Yeah, so we're in a 4-year cycle till we're not, right? That's just what we're hoping for this run, right? Could not play out. What do we do? What do you do personally if like nothing happens for a year? So what would you personally do in that situation? Do you know? Do you have a strategy for that? Like what happens if we go sideways or go down for 1 year? Then it's went to shit.
Yeah. So
what do we do?
Just hodl?
Well, you would hodl, but like that's the 4-year cycle of play, right? So the 4-year cycle is only in play until it's not. So we've had 2013, 2017, 21, and we hope 25. But what if it's not? Then we've got a big problem, right? Especially in our altcoins, because they're all going down to zero, you know? So what do we do then? It's an interesting question. Now I'm still here for the 4-year cycle. But what did you say? Sorry.
The bear market. So how was the bear market for you? We had a lot of black swan events as well in the bear market, including Celsius that you touched upon.
Yeah, don't remind me of Celsius, man. Don't say that name. So Celsius was a big lesson. A lot of people get addicted. I don't know if you've ever experienced with these staking platforms, yield platforms. You ever experienced with that or no?
With what, sorry?
Like getting yield, locking up your coins.
Okay. Yeah. So for those people who are not aware, Celsius was a lending platform that went bankrupt in the summer of 2022, citing they had bankruptcy, and I think they had a £1 billion deficit on their balance sheet, which was huge. It was absolutely terrible. It was devastating for a lot of people. And didn't you say you lost like £500,000?
498,000. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are not here today because of that. I seen it on Twitter. That's the sad reality. Luna was the other one, right? You touch upon that. That Luna depeg, people were getting their 20% against, was it USDT or USD or Terra Luna, whatever it was, right? They were doing their 20%. And that's fucking fantastic, right? Because you start to do the math, you start to put all your income on there, and it's like, this beats real estate by miles, right? And what happens when it depegs? Do you remember that depeg? I tried to buy that depeg just for a little bit of fun. It was the quickest like $4,000 I've ever lost in my life. I did it live on YouTube. It was funny. But that's the problem with these coins, right? When you're staking, when like Voyager went down, I don't know if you know about Voyager. I think they went down as well. There was another one, I can't remember, that went down. All these platforms went down. Crypto.com stayed alive. Binance is obviously here today. But, you know, this is another thing that people should know. Like, you know, where's your money? Is your money on an exchange right now, or is it on a hardware wallet?
My money. Hardware wallets.
Good, right? Because even if your money's on Binance, what if it's not there tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? So exchanges are good because you can come in and out. But if you're a hodler, you should have your money in a hardware wallet. So yeah, the bear market was brutal, lost a lot of money. But, you know, that's when I started to look back and say, okay, well, there is such a thing as 4 years. It just takes 1 second to pull up TradingView. It's a free account. You can do this yourself. And I'm not a trader. I have no idea. I make a lot of money in my business, and I just put money into cryptocurrency. I like to travel. I like to buy expensive stuff. And that's all I do. You know, and that's probably what the 9-to-5er should do, because you're not going to come to crypto and be an expert trader. You're going to lose all your money. Seen it happen so many times. So yeah, bear market was tough. Went back and just put on Bitcoin USDT, and you just seen 4 times. So for me, and probably for you, that's why we believe in the 4-year cycle. And that's why we're still investing today.
Okay, so in November 2022, Bitcoin bottomed at $15,000. Were you aware that Bitcoin had bottomed, and were you buying the bottom by any chance?
I mean, no idea. Bitcoin could have went to zero. Anything could have happened. Again, I think if you've got a good income and you can handle your expenses and you don't have like stupid bills. I've got stupid bills right now, but you know, you've got a big income, so it's in retrospect. But if you're a normal 9-to-5er, you should just buy. You're not going to lose money in your strong coins. Not if you're buying Brett, Dodge, Pepe. It's a riskier game. It's a different game, right? In my opinion, because who knows? But a lot of people are saying meme season's over. I think you'll get, like, you're familiar with all the narratives, right? You've probably got some of your portfolio in memes. You've definitely got some of your portfolio in AI, probably in gaming as well. So all you can do, I was not aware, to answer your question, did not have a Scooby-Doo, but I just buy. And if I got more cash, I do the same again. But that's on your main coins. If you look at your speculative coins that I'm sure you have, like you said, those are speculative bets. But you build a diversified portfolio if you believe in the 4-year cycle, or you are a trader.
So when did you start to believe in the 4-year cycle? So you've been through a bull market, you've been through a bear market. If we look back at 2022, is that roughly when you started to understand the 4-year cycle, or when did you start to believe in the 4-year cycle?
Yeah, probably 22. It really clicked to me. Again, when you go down, if you're a brand new person watching a YouTube channel, you just look at price predictions, right? Bitcoin's going to $1 million, Bitcoin's going to 500K. But if you just look at 2013, you look at the halving event, I think there's 550 days, probably not exactly, but that's usually what you see till the peaks. And now this bull run's very interesting, right? Because we've got Donald Trump, we've got ETFs, we've got BlackRock, right? So this is where you potentially get the super cycle. But that is probably going to wreck a lot of investors, maybe even myself, right? Because that's when you get the FOMO and you might hold on for a little bit longer, right? Because if you do a 10x, if you get to a big enough bank balance, go for the 2x, but that could be your downfall, right? A lot of people were waiting maybe to sell at 100K. They did so well in the last bull run, but then they lost it all. So yeah, I think there's you just buy. That's, to be honest, answer your question. If you just buy. So was not aware of the bottom, not a trader, make a lot of money in income and just DCA. That's the best advice for me. But if you're a 9-to-5er struggling, I understand why people want to chase shit and start being a leverage trader on MEXC and trying to pull the bag. But it's a lottery bet, in my opinion, because it's a full-time job, right? You're a trader. Like how often do you spend trading?
Well, I don't scalp and I don't day trade because it just takes too much time. So I don't have the time to do that. I do know how to do it, and I have some of my closest trading buddies are scalpers and day traders, but I'm more of a swing trader because I just literally do not have the time to sit there watching the market every single day for hours on end, in and out of trades.
Your hodl bag is also a trade as well. It's just a longer term trade, right? Because you plan to sell in 25, right? So that's a trade as well.
Yeah, I'm a Bitcoin maxi. So the only coin that I would never sell, the only coin that I will never take profits on, because my Bitcoin is for my great-great-grandchildren, is literally Bitcoin.
That's interesting. That's interesting. But sorry, interrupt. But if you believe in the 4-year cycle, are you going to take profits on the Bitcoin, or are you just going to leave that Bitcoin and buy back lower? Because surely if you believe in the 4-year cycle, you'll be able to accumulate a fuck ton more Bitcoin.
No, that is very, very true. And that's why I've got an altcoin bag as well to buy more Bitcoin. I am such a Bitcoin maxi. I love Bitcoin. But I am, if I'm completely honest, I'm not an investor in altcoins. I'm more of a position trader, meaning I will never hold altcoins for more than one cycle.
Yeah, that's smart. That's
including
smart.
Ethereum.
That's smart. If Bitcoin rips up to 250K this bull market, I don't think it will. You're not going to be tempted to take a little bit of ounce out of that and try and back it. Because the problem you have is I agree with you as well, right? Because if you try and back and lower, what if it keeps going now? You're buying it less for your dollar value or your GBP value. So I agree with you there. But again, it's just, I don't know. I think you're missing out on a big opportunity if you believe in the 4-year cycle. You're a Bitcoin max. You probably got a lot of Bitcoin. So wouldn't it be better to try and rebuy?
I'm not buying Bitcoin right now. I'm not buying Bitcoin at these prices. I've already got a bag from before. I've actually got it in my ledger. My ledger that I can't actually access at the moment as well. But I completely and utterly understand what you're saying, and that is the wisest way to do it. Okay, so we're going to skip 2023 because although we love 2023, not too much happened there. Let's look at 2024. It was an amazing year for Bitcoin, not so much for altcoins. Bitcoin went from roughly, I think we bottomed from 38,000 US dollars all the way up to making an all-time high of 108,000 US dollars. We had the all-time high before the halving, so we have slightly deviated from the 4-year cycle. We had the Bitcoin ETF. We had a lot of institutions come in. We had our first president, the first president of America run on crypto and win as well. It was an amazing, amazing year for Bitcoin, even though when we lived through it, we didn't think it was that good. But looking back in hindsight, it was a very good year for Bitcoin. Not so much for altcoins. So for utility altcoins, they ran in Q1, they ran in Q4. Meme coins, we did have a longer meme season. Now, looking back at 2024, what kind of year was that like for you?
Yeah, so you touched on something interesting. So you're right on 24, right? It was, but if you look at the last part of 24, you had these new categories pop up. There's one called Made in the USA. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. And thank God HBAR is there. So that should give it maybe the dollar value prediction. But, AI agents popped off 24, right? You had virtual protocol give you like, what, 500x, whatever. It's crashing right now because that's the game. But 2024, the end of 2024, there was a lot of runners. Look at Solana's price. You know, Solana, what was Solana in the very bottom? I think it was 22, 23. It was like $12, maybe. So Solana's winning again.
Yeah, I think I bought some. I bought about 80 at about $15. I think it actually went under $10 at one point.
And then you had Sui, right? So Sui ran in 24, went from like 70 cents to 5. You started to see they're all down now, but Aerodrome Finance was like another one. So there was some altcoins out there, but you're right. Most coins or most altcoins really start to go towards the end of 24. And now they're kind of back to where they are before that, if you look at the market right now, which is interesting. Apart from like XRP went recently, did you see that one? And XLM went, and obviously HBAR went. So these coins like 6, 7x from nowhere. SEC was obviously suing XRP. So a lot of those bag holders got rewarded, but they had to hold for 2-3 years, right? XRP was a stablecoin at 50 cents forever, right? But then it shot to 3. So you never know what's going to happen. I forgot your question, but there were some definitely movers in altcoins in 24, but you're right as well. What was your question?
So what was 24 like for you personally?
2024 was just YouTube grind. Got a lot of big sponsors. A lot of people wanted to see that, but that's the game. You know, I've put in the time, I've put in the effort. 24, I was mostly not buying much crypto in 24, apart from some speculative stuff like Brett and stuff like that, Toshi as well. But it was just 24 was crypto, but it was YouTube crypto for me, just grinding.
We'll touch upon your YouTube channel. So I know you do love your utility coins more than your meme coins, but are you into meme coins?
Yeah, my biggest bag is Brett, taking a big beating right now. I bought Brett when I was in Dubai at about 500 million market cap. It's actually less than that right now, but I still believe I had to buy a meme coin, right? I was in Thailand a long time. There's so many 18, 19-year-olds coming out to me and saying, look, I got rich off this. So I didn't want to buy Dogecoin. I didn't want to buy Pepe. I didn't want to buy Shiba. Not because I don't think they're going to do well, but I think they're multipliers, and then I can get, that return on Sui, Solana, HBAR, right? So I didn't want to touch them because of that. They're still a little bit too risk for me. So my main one was Brett. Okay, that's one of the ones I'm still holding right now. I've got about maybe 600,000 Brett. So it's a lot. It was worth a lot more. But yeah, I had to buy one. I chose the Blue Frog, and that's just because it's the number one meme coin on Base. Coinbase haven't really came out with a meme coin, nor are they going. You've got Toshi number 2. It's interesting because Toshi was listed on Coinbase recently, but Brett's not. Okay. But yeah, I think Brett's going to do well. So my main one is Brett. I'm not pitching Brett, never been paid by Brett. I'd love to be paid by Brett, but I had to choose one because I was so pissed off with people just making so much money on meme coins. So I chose Brett, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very bullish on Base as well, if I'm completely honest. Because of obviously its link with Coinbase and their link with the President of the United States. Okay, let's touch upon your YouTube journey. There are not many Scottish crypto YouTubers. When and why did you start your crypto YouTube channel?
So I've had many YouTube channels. Used to have one on fitness, had one on e-com, but I never really took them seriously. And as you'll know, or as you'll start to know, you've been doing YouTube for how long? 6 months?
6 months, yeah.
6 months. So you're at that kind of beginning phase where it's a little bit difficult. It's not paying off yet, but I promise you, if you keep posting consistently, like I told you before with this kind of strategies, in the next 6 months, you should see the next growth if you stay consistent. What's nice is you have an income, right? So yeah, YouTube for me was, I think I posted my very first video, kind of like, I've posted my first crypto video on my e-commerce channel saying like I bought 125K of like Bitcoin, Ethereum. But yeah, my YouTube crypto journey, I think, started really after that, mainly because, as you know, probably in the real world, nobody wants to talk about crypto, or they do when it's hot, right? So nobody wanted to speak about it. My mum and dad didn't want to speak about it, so I didn't have anybody to speak to about it, apart from a few friends in Glasgow that are still in the game right now. So I was just like, okay, well, if nobody wants to speak about it, I want to speak about it. Let me just start doing some little selfie videos, and we'll see what happens. It was never to make any money. It was just, number one, keep myself accountable. So I would religiously have to do a YouTube video, and I have to do the research. So I thought that would make me more money, if that makes sense, because I was studying the market. And if I had to post about it, I wanted to make it look semi-decent. So that kind of played in hand. But yeah, I just posted every single day, sometimes twice a day for that YouTube grind. And that's what you have to do if you want to make it big. I don't think there's any other, I think there's one Glasgow YouTuber. He runs like a podcast kind of thing, kind of like what you're doing. But yeah, there's not a lot of Glaswegians podcasts for sure.
No. So you do have a wonderful community. You have a very, very large following, and you do have a lovely community as well. What other services do you offer apart from your channel?
Well, first of all, the community is only nice in the bull market. You should check the comments right now. Everybody's panicking. So I'm sure if you check your comments, like, oh, the bull market's over, right? So the normal people are very easy to switch turns. But the kind of inside community, I'm not going to pitch my product, so you don't need to link it. I don't even want to really talk about it because that's not what we're here to do. But we kind of teach people the next steps. So we mostly work on high level net worth people. So I don't want to sell a $99 fucking Patreon. I hate these guys that sell the $9 Patreon and do these little trades, and they make money off the exchanges, the referral links. So we sell a 10K package. It's very fucking expensive, but we only help people with like 500K plus net worths that don't know what to do. It's kind of like when I started. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm not going to touch on the community because that's like, I'm not here to sell that, but we only really work on high level people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. So your family, I know your mom and dad are not so bullish on crypto, but we did speak about your brother, and I think he helps around with the channel as well. Tell us about your brother.
Yeah, so my brother took the other path. He's still in Dumfries right now. We just did a podcast in Glasgow, but he's playing a different game, right? So his game in life is, being an accountant, so very much traditional way. And he's still in Dumfries. He's got a little cute girlfriend and then live in Dumfries, but he's always been interested in cryptocurrency, but he's had to kind of take the speculative bets because he understands that, hey, Bitcoin's not going to get him rich, Ethereum's not going to get him rich. So he's buying all these meme coins, AI coins, getting fucking wrecked. But that's the game for him. So my brother manages a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So you spoke to him on Twitter before he kind of handed it off to me, and he manages. So, it wasn't me speaking until I sent you the voice notes, by the way. So he manages my Instagram, and my brother's goal, my goal for Joe is his name. Jake and Joe, and John's my dad's name. What a very boring family. My goal for him is to get him out of his job. And how we do that is like he gets a percentage, I pay him monthly. So I really want to see him do well. So he's not really in crypto, he's playing around, but I want him to quit his job and have a good life. And the only way I can do that is by turning up to stuff like this and keep posting, making a fuck ton of money, and he gets a percent. So that's my goal for my brother, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's so beautiful. How older are you than your brother?
I'm 29. He's 27.
Oh, bless. Okay, so that's so cute. So tell us, what's next for you?
As in crypto or YouTube or life?
Oh, touch upon all three.
Oh, wow. YouTube's an easy game. We're going to just keep printing this cycle. Everything's going well. But YouTube's a funny one, right? Because you kind of have to, you're here for the bull market, but, here's an interesting one for you. I'll turn it back to you. You're not really making these kind of videos, but after this bull cycle, you probably, if you look back, a lot of YouTubers quit, right? Nobody wants to post in the bear market, if you remember that, right? So what are you going to do in the bear market? Are you still going to pull up to stuff like this when it's not hot? Or are you going to give up?
I'm actually going to be starting a crypto consultancy business, hopefully.
Nice.
And then probably continuing my YouTube because I don't actually have any real life crypto friends.
Me too. I have maybe a handful. And that's why we start, right? That's why we start crypto YouTube, right? Because, we might as well post it online. We just stick it there and see what happens. So nobody wants to speak about it in the world. But that's why we go to these events. Did you go to the Nashville event or no? Did you miss that one?
No, but I will be going to the Las Vegas.
And that's where you see the friends in real life, right? And you'll probably see a couple of subscribers. So that's where it's kind of fun, right? So yeah, YouTube, to answer your question, just going to post, keep milking the business, easy game there. And what else did you say? Crypto, I'm a hodler. We do nothing. If we've got cash, we maybe buy some dips, but my portfolio is fully packed. There's nothing I can really do, bar from click the sell button, which is going to be easier said than done. But, that's what we're both doing. And then you said life. I mean, I'm in Glasgow. I'm in a hotel right now because I went down to Dumfries. I don't know if it's just there's fucking cold, right? It's 3 degrees, 4 degrees here. And they have no power, right? So my mom and dad has no power. So there's no electricity. So I was making YouTube videos out my car for a week, and I was just fuck this, I need to go to Glasgow. So yeah, I'm just traveling around, just came back from Thailand, going back in after the event that we're going to. And my base is kind of Thailand, Dubai, but you have to come home. Never seen my mom for so long. She's come home for Christmas. Never came home for Christmas, came after Christmas. But yeah, I like to travel. That's what crypto for most people is freedom, right? Quitting your job.
Okay, awesome. So is that where you're permanently based then? Most of the time you're in
Thailand most of the time. Just a lot of my friend groups are there. You start to realize all these people, because most people in Thailand, Dubai, right? You ever been to Dubai or Thailand now?
I've been to, my sister lives in Dubai. I want to move over to Dubai.
You should, man. You should. It's very good. Very expensive though, so keep milking the money. But when you start to go to these places, right, people take like a little holiday, right? But it's only the real ones that are there. They're running all these businesses. Touching back on my business, like so we do because we do a high ticket like closing thing, right? It's probably what you're going to do for your consultancy thing, right? You need somebody to answer the phone. So I met my closer for my offer. He's a high ticket closer because you can't sell somebody a 10K package with a shitty VSL or a link, as you probably know. So I met a lot of my friends, a lot of people that are in my business right now in Thailand because they didn't have to go back to the 9 to 5. So you'll meet a lot of cool people out there. So yeah, my base is kind of Thailand, and a lot of my friends are in Thailand. Very crypto friends over there, and probably Dubai more so.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to meet yourself again in 2020, your younger self in 2020, you've just got into crypto. You didn't get the dip, but you've just got into crypto. What advice would you give to yourself now?
Just sell, man, in 21. Be a lot higher net worth right now. Portfolio would be an extra zero. But yeah, I mean, don't dips along the way, little blemishes, but that's if in doubt, zoom out, right? If we zoomed in on our cameras, you probably see some pimples, right? But now you can't see them. So just like the chart, if in doubt, zoom out, take profits along the way. Maybe don't make price prediction videos because that can get people a lot hurt. That's what got me hurt. So I ride that bandwagon on YouTube. So like Bitcoin 100K, well, no, do you know what I mean? So I would tell stuff like that. But I would just say, have a long-term mindset. If you're not a trader, don't be a trader. If you're panicking right now, this is the time to accumulate more coins. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not the dollar value, it's how many coins you get. You're here to sell for the dollar GBP value. So be excited when there's dips, but it's hard.
Mm-hmm. So when you exit later on this year,
if I exit, it's not guaranteed.
But what would you do? Would you be selling all of your alt bags, putting everything into Bitcoin?
No, I would do the
Or would
opposite.
you be just
I think
taking
Bitcoin goes first, so maybe roll over some altcoins, in my opinion. So, but I'm here to spend the money. I'm not one of these guys that like, numbers on the screen. So, I'll open up. This is kind of boring. This is kind of lame, but my dad gave me this advice. I don't know if you know, there's a thing called the NS&I. It's like a boring thing that pays you like 4% on your cash. It's like insured by the UK government, right? I don't know if you've heard of NS&I. Have you heard of it?
I used to have it.
You used to have it. Why did you get rid of it? Give me some advice.
Are we talking about the bonds?
No, not the bonds, just that interest account, 4%. So why I like it, and this is to answer your question, right? Because we talked about before about the bank accounts. Like I've got probably 8-9 bank accounts, right? Fully maxed out, and I do not want to play that game. So I want somewhere where I can put my money, earn that little 4% before the next bull market, right? To start pulling it back and buy back in. So my biggest problem I had was in this bull market, once it's finished, what do we do with the money? I never had an answer because I wasn't interested in real estate. I'm not interested. Do not care about it. I'm not interested in leaving my bank account rotten in savings. So I found that little NS&I. Yes, it's 4%. I'm probably still going to lose to inflation, but I'm going to start filling out a lot of those accounts to come and buy back in, just because I like how it's guaranteed up to £2 million. Okay, so that's really what I'm doing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So looking back on your crypto journey, what would you say was your biggest win?
Biggest win? I mean, just not selling. Not selling in 21, but not selling like right now. Like in the whole of 22, 23, buying. So the biggest win is buying for me, because I could have just done like you bought Solana super cheap, right? Imagine if you never bought your first Bitcoin. You would regret it. The best thing to do is buy yesterday and don't worry about today. So you should buy it yesterday. If you're not going to buy it yesterday, don't buy. So DCA when it's tough. I've not had my biggest win yet because I've not sold anything. So remember, cryptocurrency can crash tomorrow. I've not still realized any profits, zero profit. So just buying when it's tough, and I buy when it's high as well, but that's just due to income because I'm here for 25. I believe every single coin like you is probably going to be higher in 25, right? Or I wouldn't buy the coin. So it doesn't matter if I'm buying a little pump or a little dump. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, awesome. So Jake, it was lovely having you on the Crypto Stories series, and lovely hearing about your story. Thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure. Let's do this again.